Wes Goldberg. Happy end of January, my friend. We're here. Trade deadline's a week away. Next week, I'm very excited for our first episode of next week because it's going to be guys we think should be traded episode, and we're just even if they're not in the room, we're just gonna be like, I think this guy would help certain teams or whatever. I'm telling you, I have a magic scoring. I have 2 magic scoring guard trades on my long list already that I'm like really excited about, more than I should be probably, but that's where we're at. Cold open for you though. Adam Silver recently said that he is open to the idea of 10-minute quarters. Is this the? Am I wrong in saying I think this is one of the dumbest things? Like, this is just a straight up dumb idea?
I understand where Adam Silver is coming from with this because they're trying to shorten the amount of time these guys are on the court without actually reducing games. But this is a bad idea. There's first of all, you still have to warm up. You still have to go to the arena. You're still traveling. Like, you're still doing, like, shaving off 6 minutes a quarter, I don't think is going to help conditioning. And then in terms of getting the product to 2 hours as opposed to 2.5 hours, there's not every timeout has to be a commercial break. You could start these games on time, which would be wonderful.
So please, for the love of God, 7 p.m. should mean 7 p.m. For the love of God.
And there's other ways around it, but this is the thing. This is the problem that I always have with the NBA is they never want to risk a short-term money for long-term gains. They never want to do it. Everybody knows what makes the product better. Everybody knows. And the NBA is the only business in the world, it seems like, that knows they have a better product. They know what the better product is, and they keep giving us a worse product. And the better product is fewer games in the regular season.
Yeah.
It's a better product. Space these games out. No back-to-backs. Give us an off night once a week so that we can catch up and start talking about what's actually going on in the league. I have a million ideas of how to make the NBA season better, and none of them are going from 12 minutes to 10 minutes and a quarter. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm not fundamentally against a 10-minute quarter. To me, it's immaterial. It does not matter to me. The problem is the thing that they're troubleshooting for has the easiest possible solution, and not only are the owners. Can we stop calling them governors? By the way, that's really dumb.
They're
it's it almost sounds more racist than owners.
It sounds you're like a step away from saying like team dictator when you say team governor. Just like
you own the team, you own the business. Yeah. It's okay to be the owner of the team.
Majority shareholder would even be like it's a business. Like, we can just call it an owner. It's okay.
Yeah. So we've got these owners who are too greedy to reduce their ticket windfall, and then and the reason why these games never start on time is because the networks want you to turn into their pregame show. So if we tell them it's a 7:30 tip, then they have to watch 12 minutes of our dumb pregame show. Then we could sell X amount of ads during that pregame show, and now we're making money off of that product. Everybody's just too greedy to actually make the product better. And I would guarantee you, if you just make the product better, all these issues about ratings and these questions around the league and are young people even watching and all this stuff, that stuff goes away if you just give them the better product, and we all know what the better product is. So stop with these Band-Aid solutions. Just give people the real product.
I read this, and it feels like a way to try and appeal to the TikTok generation of sports fans, but it's like a half-hearted way of doing it. It's like, they have less attention span. Let's give them less games.
They're also not going to watch a 10-minute quarter. Do you know how long a TikTok is, Adam Silver? They're not 10 minutes long.
Yeah, you could watch like 4 TikToks by the time you get through like one half-court possession in a late game. Like, just make these games like more functional. Like, make these things streamlined. Like, make them efficient. And like, just if a timeout's 30 seconds, actual 30-second timeout. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand that when I say this as a 30-year-old with no children who's not taking children to games, obviously. There's all the in-game entertainment stuff. We could cut half of it out. Yeah. And like just have the timeouts. I don't need like a mascot like fight or
I watched I went back and watched the 2006 finals a couple of summers ago, and it is jarring how little how many less bells and whistles there are in these games. And you don't even, and the craziest thing, this was Mike Breen's first finals that he broadcasted.
Yeah.
And you don't even see what he looks like the entire broadcast. There's no like crazy like side panel stand-ups. There's none of that. I have no idea what Mike Breen looks like. I watched every single minute of every single game all 6 games, you never see Mike Breen, ever. And it's okay. You're not like, boy, I really wish I had to stand up with this guy over here and a walking into the tunnel interview with the coach that he doesn't want to do over there. And then like, I really wish these free throws were sponsored by Chick-fil-A. Like nobody cares. Nobody cares about this stuff. And I understand that the NBA wants to make money and they're in the money-making business. So it's not like an anti-capitalist thing, but it's stop banging us over the head with ways that you get to make money and then we're supposed to just be okay with it because we're not getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest problem right now with the NBA. You get to make all the money, and I get a worse product because of it. Why? So why am I, as a consumer, happy?
Yeah, it's the other issue, especially because they're already like they already have the money. Like there's like a question of like how much money you really need to make into this. If
well,
you're
no,
not,
but
like,
even like I'm not even there. Like
just,
again, not anti-capitalist. Make as much money as you want.
But I'm not anti. I am not in that way. But it's like I think there's like a limit on when like there's a point where like you are doing more. The better way to say this, I think you are doing more harm for your reputation when you chase every single dollar under the cushion.
Well, and then with these little things, you can have it both ways. You can make more money in the long term by just giving people the better product, a shorter regular season, instead of finding all these dumb ways to work around it. Just go to 65 games in a regular season, whatever it is. And then you'll make more money. These games will mean more. The ratings will be better. All that stuff that you want, it will come. But everybody is too scared to do what actually makes sense. But they could do it. They could have it both ways. They can make more money, and then your consumer can also be happy with your product. You can have it both ways.
Yeah, it's there. They're just very silly sometimes. All right, on today's show, All-Star. I don't want to use the word snubs, but All-Star, the best non-All-Stars, guys that could build another All-Star team if they were going to. We're not going to have the rising stars in this. If we were going to build another team of All-Stars, who would we put on that team? That's coming up today on the Just Basketball Show. Let's freaking go. What is up, everyone? Chris Manning here. Wes Goldberg here. The Just Basketball Show, brought to you by the Just Sports Network. And Wes, we're powered by BetMGM.
That's right. And support for today's show for the Just Basketball Show comes from BetMGM. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code JustBasketball. You'll get up to $1,500 and a first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android. Sign up using the code JustBasketball. Deposit at least $10. Place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. Just make sure to use the bonus code JustBasketball when you sign up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older to wager. Terms and conditions apply.
Remind us, subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts. 5-star ratings and reviews only, please and thank you. Wes, let's dive in. All-Stars. We got our full list of reserves. People can go find those. But there's a number of guys with where the league is at right now where there's a lot of guys who were very deserving didn't get in. 12-man teams, I think, means it's not subs. I don't know if you saw the Devin Booker comment about like the politics of the league and that the best players used to get in and now it's politics and stuff. And I rolled my eyes because it's just I think a pretty dumb way of looking at it. I think there's a lot of guys in the league right now who are worthy of being All-Stars. It's really competitive. You're going to have guys get left off. I mean, the leader in fan votes, maybe we should just talk about the LaMelo part of it first. It's like LaMelo Ball won the fan vote and didn't get in, which I think is really interesting considering who makes up the other parts of the votes. The LaMelo Ball led the fan vote and didn't get in. I think that tells you something about what the league thinks about LaMelo.
This is a major win for ethical hoops. This is not an anti-LaMelo Ball thing. I like LaMelo. I think that if he were in a winning organization and a winning team with some structure, I think he could be a very good player. I don't think LaMelo, in other words, is a guy who cannot impact winning. But right now, he is a guy who is not impacting winning, right? So this guy puts up 30 shots a game and scores 30 points a game. The Charlotte Hornets are bad. And it's not necessarily because of LaMelo Ball, but he's also not helping. And when you look at an all-star like Cade Cunningham, who has an equally bad roster, he's got a bad roster too, and yet he's got the Pistons in the mix here in the play-in tournament. You wonder why LaMelo Ball couldn't do the same. The guy's taking like 10 more shots per game than any of his teammates. Like, this is not – you don't – I am so glad LaMelo Ball is not an all-star and wasn't named an all-star starter nor a reserve. And I don't care about the fan vote. I know that the TikTok generation is okay with the one-legged threes and all this stuff. He is not helping his team on the court this season. That's it. I think he can. I think he probably will. But right now, he's not. And based on this season, he should not be awarded with an all-star. If you could throw 30 points per game at me all you want, if all we're going to do is just look at counting stats and then make our selections based on that, then why do we even need any of this stuff? Why do we need the media, the coaches, the players to vote on it? You could just go, okay, here are the top 12 guys in points per game. You're the all-stars. Congrats. A computer could do that. But
yeah.
This is a huge win for ethical hoops. Tyler Hero deserves to be an all-star over LaMelo
Yes.
Ball. There is no question. Darius Garland deserves to be an all-star over LaMelo Ball. There is no question. Damian Lillard deserves to be an all-star over LaMelo Ball. There is no question. These guys make tangible impacts to their teams to winning, and that's the stuff that matters. All-stars, look, I don't think that team success should be the end-all, be-all for all-star selections, but also just putting up good stats on a bad team, that doesn't work for me either. I need all of it. I need a wholesome basketball player. Those are the ones that deserve to be there at All-Star Weekend. And LaMelo Ball right now has just been a volume shooter. And that to me is not an all-star. When I think about an all-star basketball player, that's not it. You can enjoy watching him all you want. You can do all that stuff. Guess what? You still get to watch him. He's basically playing in an all-star game every single time, every Charlotte Hornets game.
Yeah.
He's basically playing those games like he would in an all-star game. So you want LaMelo as an all-star? Just watch the Charlotte Hornets. Oh, you're not? Because they stink? That's why he's not an all-star. This is a win for ethical hoops. Congrats to the voters. Congrats to the coaches. Thank you very much.
This felt like the coaches in like the league, without having to like put names on it, sort of like rejecting what LaMelo Ball sort of is around, which I think is always like an interesting thing. We find out what they think to some degree. Wes, before we get into the more All-Stars, I have not breaking news, but a rumor that just came through the email inbox via Mark Stein. Mm-hmm. The Pelicans have interest in Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. What do you, as the Heat expert here, as the man, would an Ingram for Butler centered trade for Miami, does that do anything for Miami that you think they're actually excited about?
Yeah. Because here's the great thing about Brandon Ingram, and the reason that nobody wanted to trade for Ingram is because we don't want to pay his next salary. And I understand not wanting to give up assets for a guy who you don't want to have to pay max money. Here's the great thing about where Miami is, though. They probably don't want to pay Brandon Ingram his next salary.
I don't think
I don't think
get
an expiring contract, make the playoffs this year, and turn the page on this Jimmy Butler situation. If all they got back for Jimmy Butler was Brandon Ingram's expiring contract, maybe throw a pick in there from New Orleans, something like that, that would be a great deal for the Heat, because then you could just let Brandon Ingram walk. He's an expiring contract. Just let him. Okay, thanks for your services for half a season. Good luck out there on the market, and that's it. And then you clear $15 million of cap space. You get below the luxury tax. You do all the things that you want to do if you're the Heat. Maybe you get a draft pick back, and then you have that little carrot later on. But if you're the Heat and you can get Ingram and a pick, that might be the best deal that's out there.
Yeah, the Heat side of it makes a ton of sense to me. I think even if you get a world where if they did this and then they signed Ingram to like a one, because I don't think Ingram's going to have a great free agency market. If you could get Ingram on a 1+1 and keep your flexibility for 2026 still open, which has long been the reported goal of the Heat in these trades, is to have cap space for not this summer but 2026. That would make sense to me. You still can then be decent next year, but you're not tied to Ingram. Like, you could probably leverage it to get what you want out of it. The Pelicans part of this does not really make a ton of sense to me. I know that the reporting has been that Jimmy basically, I think, just wants to get out of Miami at this point. And Memphis is like the one place that he would not want to go to. I don't understand if you traded him to New Orleans, where Zion's there. It's not been a great winning culture. I think even how he fits there is pretty clunky. He's going to be miserable there. They're probably not going to want to give him what he wants, which is more money after this season. So he's probably just like picking up the option, which might just be where we're headed anyway. If I were him, I would look at this and say, like, can you just, like, I'd rather go to Memphis. Like, I'd rather just, like, go play in Memphis than I would end up in New Orleans. I would, like, almost, like, open my mind back up to Memphis if I'm Jimmy Butler here. Because I don't think the Pelicans makes any sense for him. I don't think it actually makes sense for the Pelicans to do this. If I'm the Heat, I would be calling David Griffin. Now I'd be like, 2 seconds?
Are we sure it's Brandon Ingram?
If it's Zion, I'm also doing it if I'm the Heat. Zion for Jimmy Butler is one of the wildest, most awesome trades we could do right now. That is 2K to the moon. It is like 2K just brain rot NBA trade nonsense. And yet I think Zion in Miami is one of the as like a neutral observer just watching, Zion on the Heat would be one of the most fascinating case studies we would have in the league of a player and an organization and a culture fit. Like, I would be obsessed with how Zion Williamson with Miami and with Bam Adebayo being his like mentor and like his front court partner. I would
condition and Miami Heat shape and all these things.
Yeah, here's how to like be a functional NBA player year over year. Basically, would be like the test case.
When you trade a superstar player or the face of your franchise as an organization, you want either your next superstar coming back or a lottery ticket at that next superstar, whether that's a blue chip young player or a high draft pick, a draft pick that's projected to be near the top of the draft that can get you that guy. The Heat are not going to get that in a Jimmy Butler trade, more likely than not. Zion would at least be that lottery ticket, right? It's like, hey, if we can fix him, we have one of the most dominant offensive players in the league. And then we could just sort of figure the rest of it out. I would be surprised if it was on the basketball fit for New Orleans. To go back to what you were talking about before, is an interesting one. It's why I always would like look at the Pelicans. I was like, they have the contracts, maybe they have the motivation, but the on-court fit is just weird with Jimmy Butler there, especially if Zion is healthy. Then it's okay, Jimmy who doesn't shoot threes, Zion who doesn't shoot threes. Assuming that you're going to be playing a center, Missy or Daniel Tice, like okay, now you've got three players who don't shoot. And then I've got DeJounte Murray and CJ McCollum. Am I moving Trey Murphy to the bench? Because that feels like a bad idea because Trey Murphy's awesome. Is CJ McCollum moving to the bench as a sixth man? And now I've got Trey Murphy in the starting lineup. Now we're long, not a ton of ball in. I don't know. It's a strange fit, but I guess if you're New Orleans, it's just a talent play. It's just, hey, let's just go get Jimmy Butler and figure it out later. At least we get something for Brandon Ingram. And depending on how this Zion thing plays out, like when he's not available, it almost makes more sense on the court. Like if Zion's not healthy, then we got Jimmy as sort of the Zion replacement, a guy who can crash the paint, collapse the defense, and spray out the shooters and all that stuff.
Sure.
Certainly not as good at it as Zion, but it's at least, a facsimile of what it is that Zion can provide. I don't know. It's very strange. I'm not really sure I understand the thing, but that's what's so interesting about where the Heat are with Jimmy Butler now is that the price is reportedly so low for Jimmy that if you're a team like New Orleans and all it costs you is Brandon Ingram, who you've been trying to trade anyway and isn't coming back, then it's almost like, how do you not do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the Warriors are right now. It's not even going to cost us Jonathan Kuminga anymore. It's not going to cost us a bunch of first-round picks. Do we kind of have to do this, even if we have questions? And if you're New Orleans and all it costs you is Brandon Ingram and a first or something like that, don't you almost have to do it?
Yeah, probably. I think you
right?
do. I think you're at least having a long meeting about it, Like you're at least working through the full thing. Is Jimmy Butler traded by Monday, Wes?
No. I think this will go right to the deadline, though.
Okay.
And I think he will get traded, but I think it'll go. And the reason I say that is because Miami bought all the time they need. They suspended him indefinitely. He's not going to play another game in a Heat form. There's no rush, right? Like, there's a rush to do it before the February 6th trade deadline, but there's not a rush to get anything done prior to the deadline, right? Like, they will. Yeah. I expect them to take this right up to the last minute and get the very best of the worst deal that they could possibly get in return.
The lot going on in Heat right now. We're not going to cover the Rozier news today. I know you've covered it in a Locked on Heat and stuff. It's a lot that I don't think we fully know about that situation based on the journal reporting. Kevin Love did have a banger Instagram post about it, as he's wont to do, because he's Kevin Love. Can I just, I'm gonna make one pitch for you on the Heat real quick. Kevin Love bio candidate to and then comes to the Cavs for the rest of the year as a vibes veteran guy, and then retires and goes to work for like Amazon. Can we make that happen?
Interesting that you said I don't know if I see broadcasting in his future. But perhaps
the only reason I said that is because I was reading like an awful announcing thing or might have been an athletic thing, can't remember. He was listed as like one of the guys that might retire that the TV network is interested in hiring. He was like on a long list of like it was like him and Draymond were like the two names I'm remembering. I actually can't picture Kevin Love on TV at all, having like covered him for a couple of years and talked to him a couple of times. Like I picture him just like investing more than I imagine him like working on a studio show.
To answer your question, no, you can't have him back. Sorry.
Damn. It's tough for me. All right, Wes, let's get back to All-Stars. Here, I have a list of names that I would say are on my long list here, and I actually think this is like a pretty concrete list. Or do we want to go back and forth? We didn't really discuss how we want to do this. So we want to go nominate guys?
Okay, so just to be clear, what we're doing here is we have the All-Stars. They were announced. We don't have to go through them. People know it by now. If you're listening to this, you know who the All-Stars are and the All-Star reserves. So that was all announced on Thursday night. The problem is that the NBA put together this awful system for the All-Star game where we're going to have a round-robin tournament. And while I'm not even against this pickup style tournament in the All-Star game, they're going to have 4 teams of 8. And so the math doesn't math. So they have the fourth team is going to be the Rising Stars. The winners of the Rising Stars Challenge.
Yeah.
Which to me is absolutely insane. Because it was really easy to just do 4 teams of 6. And they decided not to do that. Right. And that would really feel like a pickup game. Because, Chris, I don't know if you've ever been to a pickup game where you have 3 reserves. I definitely have never been in a pickup.
There were some college.
Have like the one reserve who kind of just jumps in for the guy who's tired. But nobody even likes that. The fact
there
that
was a couple
pickup style with 3 reserves is insane.
I would say like the only time I saw that was like Sunday at the rec center in college when dudes were hungover and like needed to like get some water so they didn't vomit. Right. That's when you get the 3.
And maybe
that's when you
the
get
case
the 3
in All-Star Weekend because we know these guys get after it. But anyway, the point is we're going to replace the Rising Stars with a new 8-man team because nobody wants to see the Rising Stars in this thing. Like I don't really care to see Brandon Podziemski or whoever's on the Rising Stars team play real All-Stars. So we're gonna get another 8-man team to include in this round robin tournament. So we're not doing snubs. That's not what this is. These guys were not snubbed. Unless you want to do snubs. Do you have snubs? Do you think
no, I don't believe in snubs.
All right.
I think All-Star snubs died with Mike Conley when Mike Conley could not like make an All-Star team for the life of him. That was the last time I was like that guy's a snub. Honestly.
Happy for Tyler Hero. He deserved it over Trae Young and LaMelo Ball as we already discussed.
Yes. Yes.
That said, I've got a longish list of guys that I'm considering for my 8 guys. I wanted to talk it through with you. I think we should just we should agree on a 8-man team that we're throwing.
Yeah, I agree. And we can make a nice graphic, get that out there on the socials. I have my team captain. I would say I have one guy that's Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, for what he's done without Luka, should have been an All-Star. That's like the one that if I was getting close to using the word snub, it's for Kyrie. That guy has been carrying the Mavs team that has had some issues, but is carrying a team without its best player and one of the best 3 players in the world, best 5 players in the world, whatever you want to say about Luka. That guy has been awesome. He's, by all accounts, been a great leader and a great teammate for that team. He's having just another really efficient season. Kyrie, to me, like over Harden, over like some of the other guards in the West, like Kyrie Irving to me should absolutely be at All-Star Weekend this year, and it's not even a question. That's my team captain.
With you. Love it. Down. So we've got Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
There was an argument to maybe have him over James Harden, but I'm not mad about Harden making it either.
Yeah.
So I'll go with another maybe lock type of proposal here.
Yeah.
I am gonna go Trae Young here.
Okay.
I don't think that he should. I don't think he should have made it over Garland or Lillard or Hero. But if we're talking about the next 8, he would have been. He was on to me the bubble, like last cuts. I know that his shooting percentages are down. I know that he's out there calling it. What do you call it? Not a snub, but a trade. You got trade or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly I think NBA players should all hire like a comms person to write some of the stuff for them instead of just like coming. Like it's just no one is making sense to me anymore. Like we have lost the plot of the English language when NBA players are reacting to these things. Honestly,
my biggest gripe with this is the use of the word goat has been completely.
It's mired who was it Brandon Miller who said Paul George was the GOAT? I think that's when we jumped the shark with the word
Paul George
goat.
Was the GOAT. Well, no, he's my GOAT. And I was like, it doesn't work that way. You can
say
he's my favorite player. but that's not what this means.
Yeah, like I would never say Deion Waiters is my GOAT, but that is like, one of my favorite players ever,
Yeah, to me, like growing up, like Kevin Garnett would have been my GOAT. I never thought he was better than like the best players in the league at that point. I mean, there was a couple years.
Yeah, he might have been. He might. That's maybe a bad example, Wes. He might have been. He might have been.
Jason Capono might have been a better.
Shout out Capono.
So I'm gonna go Trae Young though, because I think he is having a great year. I know the shooting percentages are down and everything, but I think he's playing the right way, leading the league in assists, scoring more than 20 per game. I know he's only shooting 40% overall, but I like he's playing like a point guard, and I appreciate I enjoy watching Trae Young now more than I ever have, despite some of the numbers being down from where they were, and so I've got him here. Any issues with Trae Young being on this team?
No, he was not my number 2, but he was 3 or 4 for me.
Okay, give me your next one.
Domantas Sabonis.
Yep.
Should he have
gotten it over Schengen?
It's a good debate, because I think on one hand I would say statistically yes. I think in terms of like winning, I want to give the Rockets an All-Star, and I think Sengun was the best candidate. Like, the Rockets deserve to have an All-Star for what they've done this year. I want like All-Star Weekend to reflect winning to some degree. So therefore, like, I think Sengun is I don't think Dylan Brooks is there. I don't think Van Vliet is there. I don't think Amen Thompson, despite being the reincarnation of Michael Jordan
Scottie Pippen.
And Scottie Pippen, like whatever it is, it's like he's not there yet. Sengun is the best candidate there, but Sabonis, you look at the year he's having: 61% from the field, shooting 48% from 3 on his highest volume in a couple of years, shooting 63.8% on twos, which is just like astounding. He's averaging about 14.5 rebounds a game, including 4 on the offensive end. Like, that guy is, particularly on a Rock, he has been so consistently really good, even on a Kings team that has been up and down. Obviously, a really nice surge under Doug Christie. Obviously, a lot going on in the Fox situation that I'm sure isn't fun to deal with internally. But that guy is just as productive as ever, playing high minutes. Like, I think he is an all-star. Like, he might. It could be another situation where like he is like all NBA consideration, but did make an all-star, and it's like kind of bizarre that that's where you end up with him.
I think like Bill Simmons will say this about the All-NBA team. He's like, I wanted to just sort of reflect the most important players in the league that season. It should tell a story. You could argue the same thing with the All-Star game. And while I think the All-Star game should be a little bit less about team success than maybe even All-NBA is, but we're talking about Sacramento and Houston. Teams are both in the playoff mix. Like, Houston is obviously going to very much, to say in the mix is probably a slight. They're obviously one of the best teams in the league by record, but it's not like either of these guys are on bad teams. So I'd understand if you wanted Sabonis over Sengun, but you already made the case. The reason why Sengun is on this is because we all felt like the Rockets needed some kind of representation on this roster.
Yes.
And I don't think you necessarily feel that way about the Sacramento Kings. And that might be unfair to Sabonis, but it's sort of where we are. But I do think that Sabonis might have been the toughest guy to leave off any of these teams. So we probably already went 2 guys too long for not having Sabonis on this, but he's on our team here. So the way that All-Star works is you have 2 guards, 2 front and 3 front court players. So we have our 2 guards,
which is weird. I don't know how you felt this way with this group, Wes. I felt this with the guys I felt like should be on this team. I think the front court was much harder to find names than it is the backcourt. The backcourt is loaded with guys that I'm more interested in.
The problem is injuries and games played, right? Like that, the front court guys this year got really hit by injuries. There's a couple of guards who make it hard to vote for because of availability, but really it's the front court guys that got Joel Embiid not making an All-Star team is crazy, right? But you can't argue that he should be because he hasn't played enough. And you just have a lot of guys like that. I'll go another one. I'm gonna go Franz Wagner. This is sort of like a games played thing, but he played 25 games before getting hurt. He's played a couple games since then. Let's put him on here. He deserves it.
Yeah, I fully agree. Almost 25 a game, 5 assists, 5 boards on a really good team. Really, that it's still like a tad bit inefficient in terms of his overall shooting, but he's putting up big numbers. Had to carry a huge load without Powell there. I on a team that again I think is not in that upper tier in the East, but is the team right behind them. I think they're right there, and that guy is going to make multiple All-Star teams in the future. I think, but I think I'm with you. I think he deserves it this year.
So for the last front court spot, I mean, you have the pick here, but give me your list of front court guys who you had on your long list here. What's the group that we're considering from?
It's like Zubac is like the one. I don't feel like super compelled. Like Bam, I love Bam. I don't know if Bam is.
No, Bam's not a good season.
Quite there. Like it's not a good year for him. Jalen Johnson is hurt, so you have to take him off the board. He would have probably been another. I think just because he's out for the year, I took him off of my list.
Yeah, we would have to find an injury replacement for him anyway. So shout out to Jalen Johnson, but yeah, we can't put him on.
Like monster year. I'm laid down this. I'm gonna throw up a little video on what that means for the Hawks now. They are just like losing and hemorrhaging games, and I'll throw up a little YouTube extra this weekend for that.
I've got Zubac and Jared Allen as my guys.
Yeah, I think I'm lower than Jared Allen. I'm lower on Jared Allen than the consensus because I think he's been like a titch sloppier this year than I have remembered him being in Cleveland. But I also think like if you
can I throw a wild card at you? Then?
Yeah, please. This is what this is for. Joel Embiid is where you're going.
No. Can we just put Amen Thompson in it? Because everybody wants to see him. What he has done over these last like 3 weeks. So
it's a little prisoner of the moment. It's like a little prisoner of the moment that we would do this.
I know, but history will look at us kindly if we put Amen Thompson on this because Jabari Smith goes down. The guy walks in, steps into his spot. Everybody's like, I don't know. Amen Thompson. He's sort of the sixth-man energizer bunny guy, defensive, savant, all these things. Walks in. He's like, it's okay. I got 19 and 15 tonight. And you're like, wait, what? And all of a sudden, he's just a double double machine. He's hitting game winners against the Boston Celtics.
It's just such a small sample. I can't quite get there. I can't quite get there.
Give me one other player you think deserves the front court spot over him.
Hold on, I'm going to dunks and threes.
Zubac is probably the answer, but like
it's Zubac or Allen is like the traditional answer. It's in a down Bam year. Let me sort. Can I split it?
Let's go Zubac as the fifth guy, but then we have 3 wild cards.
Yeah, I think they're all going to be guards. I am just looking at like the like long list of I'm looking at dunks and threes. Sort of maybe I just want to tell you like the amount of guys that are not like that are good that I think of as good players that aren't all-stars. It's like number 1, it's like Chet obviously just out for the year. It's like not even in consideration. Marketing has taken like a step back since that big season. Yep. Like you're getting into like the Livelies, Siakam, who there's no one there. There's no one there.
We're content.
Sorry, I'm losing my mind.
We're content creators. We're gonna have a graphic associated with this. What is the graphic that would sell? It's not one that has Zubac on it. It's the one that has Amen Thompson in their starting.
Amen Thompson, you're an NBA All-Star. We're doing it. Let's go. F it. Who cares? We're riding the wave. Watching him like just D up, like whatever coach gets him, just D's up everybody. It's like Johnny Bryant.
I'm picking like Johnny Bryant now because of Amen Thompson. I'm picking this team in the All-Star Weekend contest.
Him, Kyrie, and Sabonis is just like they're gonna put up stuff. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, Amen Thompson. Guard, I think now I'm gonna go
wild cards now.
I'm gonna go Norm Powell.
Good. Yep. Totally deserving. Awesome.
Been more efficient than Harden per 100. Great year for him. Give me Norm Powell. Especially if we're not putting Zubac on. Let's put a clipper in there. Better?
Well, we could still get Zubac on, but not just better than James Harden. He's been better than Paul George. Yeah. The guy who he said is going to be addition by subtraction. Norm Powell backed it up, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really good. Him saying addition by subtraction and then like having this year, it's just like chef's kiss, Norm Powell. All right, yeah, you got the next one. Then I have a list. I'll list you the names at the end that we can sort through.
Right, let's get Booker onto this thing. Devin Booker.
Okay. Don't love that just because I think that comment was obscene, but yeah, he's one of the best players in the league and has been really good, even if it's been kind of a weird year.
We're getting pretty deep in here now. Like it feels like it would be a real slight not to put him on.
Yeah. All right. So here's the list of names that I have here that we haven't got to yet for our last spot. I have 3 that I probably feel the strongest about: Tyrese Maxey, Zach LaVine, and LaMelo Ball. At a certain point, I'm just like, are we overthinking this LaMelo thing considering the output? And Zubac, let's say Zubac is the fourth.
And so no Halliburton.
No.
No De'Aaron Fox.
No De'Aaron Fox.
All right.
Halliburton's been better lately, but it was such a slow start to the year.
Yeah.
And he's averaging like under 20 a game. His assists are down. Like I just am not quite there with him as an all-star this year.
So give me your names one more time. I'm sorry.
And not LaMelo, Zach LaVine, Tyrese Maxey, Zubac.
Can we go LaVine?
I kind of wanted to go LaVine. I have loved Zach LaVine's season to the point where like I want someone. I think someone should trade for Zach LaVine at this point. I'm just like I kind of think he might be like slightly undervalued even with the contract's insane. I kind of want a good team to trade. Like the Warriors, do it. Lakers, find a way to do it. Let's go.
Yeah, he's 24 a game on 51% shooting. Let's put him on. Zach LaVine. That's what it is. Done.
All right, so here's the team. Kyrie, Trey, Sabonis, Franz Wagner, Amen Thompson. King shit by you to suggest that. I love that we did that. Norm Powell, Devin Booker, Zach LaVine.
I think that's good. I think that makes sense.
I agree. There's no one else that I'm like really jaded. Like I'm like, there's no one else we didn't talk about. I don't think that we missed. Maybe we did.
No, I think Maxey has a good argument. You could argue like the only reason the Sixers are even slightly below water here and not just all the way at the bottom of the ocean is because of Tyrese Maxey. So I would hear that argument, but I just think LaVine's been a little bit better. I know that the context around Maxey, but like his shooting percentages are down and all that stuff, and I know it's because he's taking tough shots and all these things, but like okay, but still like the production is what it is. Like we can't award what could have been. We have to award what is. And mostly I'm excited that we still don't have LaMelo on this.
Yeah, I like that we've camped out on Amen Thompson. We took a stand, and I respect us for it.
It's sports radio 101. Take the stand. Go extreme. We have Amen Thompson on here, not LaMelo. Sorry.
All right.
That's the way it works.
Wes, we'll end with this last thing that is related to LaMelo Ball, but is a great sliding doors moment to me. And this is sports radio. Like my brain is cooked nonsense. I was watching Cavs, Hawks talking on the phone with one of my best friends the other night. So went on Thursday. That I have friends? Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, that talk to you on the phone. Yeah.
Dude, honestly, call me. Like hot take phone texting. Ooh. Incredibly. I'm a phone call guy.
Wow.
It is such a better vibe check, and like I feel better as a human. Like when I text someone, or like you message people like on Instagram, whatever it is. There's no like good, like the interaction does not like give you energy. If you talk to someone on the phone and it's a good conversation, it brings you a lot of energy. It's close you can get to like an in-person conversation over a beer.
New Year's resolution.
My take. Call people on the phone. I was watching Ty Jerome cook against the Hawks. And do you remember when Kenny Atkinson almost took the Hornets job a year ago? Whatever it was, a year or two ago. Considering what he does for guards, he got the most. D'Lo is the best he ever was in Brooklyn under Atkinson. Spencer Dinwiddie, by far the best he ever was, I think, under Atkinson in Brooklyn. He's getting a ton out of Jerome in Cleveland. Garland's having this great year. I'm not saying that Charles Lee is going to be like a bad coach for LaMelo, and like maybe this is a Hornets organization problem. But would a Kenny Atkinson not have been like the best thing ever for LaMelo Ball?
It's a great take. I mean, probably based on the track record. I don't think you can argue with that. He really like. I really hope this obviously is this whole episode is gonna come off as very anti LaMelo.
Good. You know what? Good. Good. I don't.
I
absolutely don't.
He could be a good player. I really do believe he could be a good player on a winning team. He just hasn't been yet.
He is one of the guys that I also would like to see him somewhere else. And it's just like I want to see him and Zion are the two guys top of my list. Let's put them in a different situation just to see if the energy is different and better.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody proposed to me the other day, like, what if the Magic just traded a bunch of stuff for LaMelo? And my biggest concern with that would be, well, the on-court fit makes a lot of sense. I'm just worried about LaMelo walking into the Orlando Magic locker room and being like, I'm the captain now.
The Spurs one was the fascinating one.
The Spurs one is fascinating too, but he would walk into the San Antonio and be like, Victor Wembanyama,
I'm Victor
in line. It would just, and that's the biggest thing. Like LaMelo, 5 years from now, is going to be an awesome basketball player.
When he's still like 21 years old, because he's still only
Yeah.
he's 23. When he's 28, matures. His brain fully forms by then.
Yeah, I think there's something in there. It just has yet to be unlocked, and maybe that's something that happens. I mean, look, we saw Trae Young kind of make that switch. We saw Tyler Hero make that switch. Tyler Hero made an All-Star. Trae Young made our fourth-team All-Star here. LaMelo, he could be next.
Yeah, maybe. That's it. All right, I'm Adam Thompson. You're an All-Star. This has been the Just Basketball Show. Happy end of January, everyone. We'll talk to you next week, getting ready for the trade deadline. Busy week ahead of the NBA. Send Wes his best. He's going to need a lot of caffeine the next week or so. We'll talk to you soon.